Is this thing on? Hopefully it is. So today I wanted to talk very quickly, because I'm supposed to be out doing something else, about school history lessons and what they can teach us about AI hallucinations, and particularly that school history lesson that you probably had at high school when you were like 12 or 13 that talked about different sources of information and how they might be biased. So, full confession, my mum was a history teacher. She was a total legend, but she was a history teacher. So my weekends as a child were spent going to National Trust places, looking at a whole range of historical things and being educated at the time. So, what's the diet of generative AI? Generative AI has dumbed down version essentially been given a whole load of information to consume. So all the books that have been written, we could discuss the intellectual property implications of it at a different time. It's been given a large swathes of the internet to read and lots of different corpuses of documents, right? And with those documents, it has made associations between different words, different parts of words, different pieces of context. So it's generating based on probabilities of predicting the next word, right? So that might happen if you're writing code, it might happen if you're asking it to rewrite your email. The challenge, though, when we take that history lesson is, I don't know if you remember this, you were given different documents to read about, say, the Industrial Revolution, and you would be asked to look at those sources and say, how might that person who wrote that thing be biased, right? How might this only give us a partial view of the world? And spoiler alert, if you're doing your GCSE history, the answer is always to give both sides to get maximum marks. Tell my mum was a history teacher. So you'd say, well, this person is biased because they're talking about A, B, and C, but what they're not talking about is D, E, and F that would be of interest to this person. And in order to find that out, you might have to look at this sort of document. Right, or you might say, the only documents that we have that are printed would have been made by very rich people because other people didn't have access to printing presses for their points of view, or they perhaps couldn't read or write, and so you're only understanding their point of view second or third hand. So if you remember that history lesson, and hopefully you do, because I'm bastardizing it and Mum would not approve. Anyway, so what does this mean when you get a vast amount of data that's written from lots of different points of view, with limited partial information, skewed perspectives? And there are some capabilities that emerge out of generative AI that allows that sort of categorization, and there's a perspective in there. But you've got to remember, it's only ever predicting the next word, right? It's never actually, your generative AI is never actually right. It's only ever plausibly wrong. Just sometimes that happens to be the corpus of knowledge is more correct than not, but it gives the same probabilistic answer, whether it's right or not. And it's up to us as the user to use this critical thinking, except it's not critical thinking with one carefully signposted person that has a persona, that has a bias. It's a, what do we think about the corpus of knowledge that this has been trained on? What do we think about the way that I asked my generative AI its question that might have led it to a certain answer? Questions expecting the answer yes or no, or seeding a particular point of view. And are you looking for this common viewpoint, or are you looking for something around the fringe? And what do you consider the quality of that information that it's been trained on? Right? Is it is your question the mainstream? Is it something around the edges? And the challenge is you don't know because it's always plausibly wrong, and only sometimes that's correct. There is no signpost as to when that might be. Now, if you'd asked me like 12 months ago, I'd have gone, the thing about these generative AI tools that we're all using is they're not like consumer ready. So you can't just use them and get an answer and feel confident, like in the way that we would use an Excel spreadsheet. And we would feel pretty confident that the sum function has added up all the numbers correctly without us checking, right? But I do think these harnesses have improved, and there's lots of mechanisms now built in there to ask the user questions to get clarity about what they want. You can upload documents as samples of what you want to see. You can upload context, so it's got particular documents to refer to. But these are all guardrails. They are not strict, hard limits. So what do I think this all means? You need to check your sources. There's a reason if you do an arts degree, you end up crying about doing the footnotes at the bottom of your essay, but that's the rigor that you need that you don't always get in your response from an LLM. So always check the sources. And you need some critical thinking, starting with, is this the right tool for the job? Okay, if there's a right or wrong answer and it's out there as a corpus of knowledge, wouldn't it be just easier to check the source? If you're asking it to do math, is it writing code? How do you know that code's correct? How can you verify that that answer's correct? So critical thinking, number one skill of our time. Think about your history lessons, and yeah, tell me what I've missed in my little thinking. I'll see you on the next one.